What if the one person you thought had been broken beyond repair suddenly found their voice and used it to cut straight through the armor of one of Emmerdale's most formidable figures? Because that is exactly what is happening in the village right now, and fans absolutely cannot stop talking about it. Joe has done something that very few people in that cobbled little community have ever managed to do. He has looked Robert Sugden dead in the eye, delivered a blow so sharp and so brutally well-aimed that even the most hardened Emmerdale watchers were left with their jaws on the floor. And now, rather than backing down, he is stepping forward. The confrontation is coming, and everything in the village is about to shift. Welcome back to Emmerdale Echoes, your go-to place for the very latest Emmerdale drama, spoilers, and storyline updates. Whether you are completely up to date with every episode, or you just want to make sense of the chaos unfolding in the Dales, you are in exactly the right place. We are diving deep into one of the most talked-about storyline developments to come out of Emmerdale in recent weeks. And trust us, this one has layers. So settle in, because things in the village are about to get very complicated indeed. The spoiler footage that has been circulating ahead of the latest Emmerdale episodes has sent the fandom into an absolute frenzy, and for very good reason. At the center of it all is a confrontation between Joe and Robert, two characters whose histories are deeply tangled, whose motivations have always been murky, and whose relationship has long been simmering with unspoken tension. But what makes this particular development so electric is not just the confrontation itself. It is what led to it. Before Joe decides to take Robert on directly, he delivers a cutting blow, a verbal strike so precise, so loaded with truth and hurt, that it fundamentally changes the dynamic between these two men. Fans who spotted the spoiler clip have been flooding social media with reactions, and the general consensus is clear. Something seismic is on the way for both of them. To truly understand why this moment carries so much weight, we need to go back a little and look at the ground these two characters have been walking on. Robert Sugden has always been a complicated figure in Emmerdale. He is the kind of man who operates several steps ahead of everyone else, who has a history of manipulation, of burning bridges and building new ones purely for personal gain. Those who have known Robert longest understand that his charm is a weapon as much as it is a personality trait. He can be magnetic and genuinely caring in one moment, and calculating and ruthless in the next. That duality has always made him compelling to watch, but it has also left a trail of wounded people behind him over the years. Joe, on the other hand, has had his own complicated journey through the village. He has known what it feels like to be underestimated, to be positioned as someone who can be maneuvered or handled. There have been periods where Joe appeared to be operating in someone else's shadow, where his choices were shaped more by the pressures around him than by any genuine agency of his own. But something has shifted. Something in Joe has hardened, or perhaps clarified, and the version of him we are seeing now in these spoiler scenes is sharper, more determined, and far less willing to swallow things quietly. That change in him is at the heart of why this confrontation with Robert feels so momentous. The spoiler scenes show Joe reaching what can only be described as a turning point. The cutting blow he delivers is not a physical one. This is not a brawl in the street, though that kind of raw confrontation would honestly surprise no one given the temperature of things. No, what Joe does is arguably more devastating than any thrown punch. He says the thing that Robert has been hoping nobody would say out loud. He names it. He holds up a mirror to Robert's behavior, his patterns, his justifications, and he refuses to let Robert talk his way around it or reframe it in the way that Robert so expertly does with most people. In the scene, we see Joe's demeanor shift noticeably. There is a stillness to him that is almost unsettling, a quiet certainty that tells you he has thought about this, that this is not an outburst but a decision. And when he speaks, the words land. You can see it in Robert's reaction, that flicker of something behind his eyes that he quickly tries to suppress, that telltale moment where the mask slips just enough to confirm that Joe has genuinely gotten through. It is a brilliantly performed exchange, and the dialogue is written with a precision that makes every word count. What follows is where the real drama ignites. Because rather than retreating after landing that blow, Joe escalates. He makes it clear that he is not done, that this is not a one-off outburst that Robert can simply wait out or manage from a distance. He is stepping into Robert's world, challenging him on ground that Robert has always considered his own, and he is doing it with a composure that Robert clearly did not anticipate. The dynamic between them crackles with a kind of controlled fury that is utterly compelling to watch, and the scene ends on a note that makes absolutely clear this is only the beginning. The reaction online has been, in a word, explosive. Social media has been buzzing since the spoiler clip dropped, with fans taking to every platform to share their shock, excitement, and speculation. On X, formerly Twitter, the hashtag Emmerdale was trending shortly after the footage circulated, with viewers hailing Joe's moment as one of the most satisfying character beats the show has delivered in a long time. Comments like "Joe finally saying what we've all been thinking," and "Robert has finally met his match" have been racking up likes and replies by the thousand. There is also a significant camp of viewers who are deeply worried about what comes next, not for Robert, but for Joe. Because Emmerdale fans know better than anyone that when you poke the bear tends to bite back. Several popular fan accounts have been posting lengthy threads speculating about how Robert might respond, and the theories range from a ruthless countermove involving those around Joe to a more unexpected emotional reaction that could completely reshape how we see Robert going forward. The debate is lively, passionate, and very much ongoing. What this confrontation really signals, when you step back and look at the bigger picture, is a meaningful shift in the power balance between these two characters, and potentially in the wider fabric of relationships across the village. For a long time, Robert has existed in a position of relative control over his own narrative in Emmerdale. Even when he has faced consequences, there has usually been a sense that he is 2 steps ahead, that he is managing the fallout even as it happens. Joe challenging him so directly and so effectively disrupts that. It introduces the genuine possibility that Robert might, for once, be on the back foot in a way he cannot simply scheme his way out of. For Joe, this moment is also deeply significant from a character development perspective. It represents a kind of reclaiming, of agency, of voice, of self-respect. And that always makes for compelling storytelling in a soap, because the audience invests in those journeys of reclamation. We want to see characters who have been pushed too far finally push back, and when it is done with this kind of dramatic intelligence, it elevates the whole show. Looking ahead, the signs strongly suggest that this confrontation is far from resolved. Further spoiler hints from the Emmerdale production team point to escalating tension between these two in the coming episodes, with those close to both men potentially being drawn into the conflict, whether they want to be or not. There is also speculation, based on some carefully placed clues in recent episodes, that a revelation of some kind could be on the horizon, something that reframes the history between Joe and Robert and throws yet another wrench into an already turbulent situation. Whether Joe can sustain the position of strength he has claimed in this confrontation, or whether Robert finds a way to reassert his dominance, remains genuinely uncertain. And that uncertainty is exactly what makes this storyline so gripping. Neither outcome feels guaranteed, and the writers have set things up in a way that could plausibly go in multiple directions. Expect the tension to continue building, expect further scenes of high-stakes confrontation, and expect at least one moment in the coming weeks that nobody sees coming. So to bring it all together, Joe has done something bold, something brave, and something that has fundamentally altered the landscape of one of Emmerdale's most complex relationships. He has delivered a cutting blow that stopped Robert in his tracks, and rather than leaving it there, he has chosen to step forward and take the fight directly to him. The fallout from this is going to ripple through the village, and we are here for every dramatic second of it. This is Emmerdale at its absolute best, character-driven, emotionally charged, and utterly unpredictable. Now we want to hear from you. Do you think Joe made the right call in confronting Robert so directly, or has he just made himself a very powerful enemy? Is this the beginning of a genuine shift in who holds the power between these two, or will Robert find a way to flip the script? Drop your thoughts, theories, and predictions in the comments below. We read every single one of them, and your reactions always make the conversation so much better. If you enjoyed this breakdown, please give the video a like and make sure you are subscribed to Emmerdale Echoes so you never miss a spoiler, a twist, or a moment of drama from the Dales. We will see you in the next one.